Dear Seeker, pause for a moment and reflect on how you interact with technology today. Every day, you open apps, type messages, switch between tabs, manage tasks, and make countless small decisions just to get things done. Your attention is constantly divided, your time quietly consumed. Now imagine a different reality. A reality where you no longer operate technology, but instead, you simply express your intent. And something else, something intelligent, carries it out for you. Not just partially, not just with suggestions, but completely. This is where we begin to understand the true significance of what is happening with OpenClaw. What was once a powerful AI assistant, capable, helpful, but still dependent on human direction, is now evolving into something far more profound. With the emergence of new AI advancements, OpenClaw is stepping into a new role, not as a tool, but as an autonomous digital agent. An entity that can plan, decide, act, and adapt continuously. It can move across applications, execute commands, handle complex workflows, and even correct itself when things go wrong, all while learning from each interaction. This shift may seem subtle at first, but in truth, it changes everything. Because for the first time, we are not just building smarter software. We are creating systems that can act independently within our digital world. And with that comes both immense power and profound responsibility. So in this journey together, let us not rush. Let us understand clearly, deeply, and honestly what OpenClaw has become, what this new level of autonomy truly means, and how it may reshape the way we live, work, and think. Let us begin. Dear Seeker, before we explore transformation, we must first build clarity. What exactly is OpenClaw? At a surface level, one might assume it is just another AI tool, similar to chatbots or virtual assistants we have grown familiar with. But that understanding would be incomplete. OpenClaw represents a fundamentally different category of intelligence. It is what we call an autonomous AI agent. This means it is not limited to responding with text or answering questions. Instead, it is designed to take action within digital environments, to interact with systems, execute commands, and complete tasks on your behalf. Think of it this way. Traditional AI helps you think. OpenClaw helps you do. It can navigate the web to gather information, send emails or messages across platforms, manage files, and organize data, execute code, and automate workflows, interact with real-world software tools and services. But what makes it truly distinct is not just its ability.
The projections look good. Can the AI handle the full rollout? Yes, the simulations are solid. We're ready. Affirmative.
Unlike
Integration is optimal.
Interactions, OpenClaw can maintain context, remember previous actions, and continue tasks across sessions. It behaves less like a tool you open, and more like a digital entity that remains present, ready to operate whenever needed. Underneath this capability lies a combination of powerful components. Language models for reasoning and understanding, tool integrations for action, memory systems for continuity. Together, these create something far more cohesive than a simple program. They create an agent. And this distinction matters deeply, because once a system can both think and act, it begins to move beyond assistance and toward autonomy. And that is precisely where our journey leads next. Dear Seeker, now that we understand what OpenClaw is, we must look at what it is becoming. Because the true story is not in its existence,
Oh, so many
but
notifications.
in its evolution.
I have to focus now.
In earlier stages of artificial
Okay, let's do
intelligence,
this.
systems functioned primarily as responsive assistants. They waited for your input, processed
This
it,
pattern
and
looks
returned
significant.
an output.
Let me expand
Every
this
step
node.
required your direction. Every action depended on your instruction. In essence, the human remained firmly in control of both thinking and execution. But OpenClaw introduced a subtle, yet powerful shift. It gave AI the ability to initiate and carry forward actions. This is what we call agency. With agency, the system no longer waits passively. It can interpret a goal, break it into smaller steps, and begin executing those steps across different tools and
Data analysis
environments.
complete, awaiting query.
However,
What is the status
even
of the
this
core
early version
process?
had
Core
limits.
process stable, all
It
systems
could
optimal.
act, but it did not truly improve itself in a meaningful, continuous way. Now, with recent advancements, we are witnessing the next leap. Through approaches such as reinforcement learning and feedback-driven adaptation, OpenClaw can begin to learn from its successes and failures, refine its strategies over time, adjust its behavior based on changing conditions, optimize how it completes tasks without explicit retraining. This transforms the system from something that merely follows logic into something that evolves through experience. And this is a critical turning point. Because once an agent can both act and improve, it begins to resemble a form of operational intelligence, not just programmed capability. The relationship also begins to change. You are no longer guiding every step. Instead, you are setting direction, and the system determines the path. This is the moment where AI moves beyond assistance and steps into autonomy. Dear Seeker, the phrase fully autonomous is often spoken with excitement and sometimes with misunderstanding. So let us slow down and examine it with clarity. Autonomy, in this context, does not mean perfection. It does not mean the system is flawless or beyond error. Instead, it means something far more specific and far more impactful. It means the system can operate independently toward a goal, with minimal or no step-by-step human guidance. In earlier systems, even powerful ones, you were required to guide each stage of a task. You asked, it answered. You corrected, it adjusted. You instructed, it executed. But now, with OpenClaw's latest advancements, that structure begins to dissolve. You no longer provide a sequence of commands. You provide intent. And from that intent, the system begins to interpret the objective, break it down into actionable steps, execute those steps across multiple tools, monitor results in real time, adjust its approach if something fails or changes. This is what transforms a system from reactive to self-directed. Consider a simple example. If you ask it to organize a business meeting, it does not stop at suggesting ideas. It can check your calendar availability, coordinate schedules with others, send invitations, set reminders, update changes dynamically, all without returning to you after each step. This capability emerges from a combination of tool execution, systems memory of prior actions, continuous feedback loops, decision-making frameworks. Together, these allow the agent to function as an independent operator within a digital environment. And this is the essence of autonomy. Not intelligence alone, but intelligence in motion. A system that does not just respond, but proceeds. And once a system can proceed on its own, the nature of control, trust, and responsibility begins to change in profound ways. Dear Seeker, at first, calling something the new computer may sound like exaggeration. But if we look carefully, we begin to see why this idea is gaining ground among technologists and thinkers alike. To understand this shift, let us briefly reflect on how computing has evolved. In the early days, computers required deep technical knowledge. Then came graphical interfaces making interaction simpler. Then smartphones placing computing into our hands. But across all these stages, one thing remained constant. Humans operated software directly. You opened applications. You clicked buttons. You navigated systems step by step. Now, with systems like OpenClaw, that model is quietly being replaced. Instead of interacting with software yourself, you interact with an intelligent agent that uses software on your behalf. This creates a fundamental inversion. No longer human software outcome, but now human AI agent software ecosystem outcome. And this change is not merely technical, it is conceptual. Because the interface is no longer an app, a screen, or a device. The interface is intelligence itself. You express a goal in natural language, and the agent translates that goal into actions across multiple systems, often invisibly. This is why many consider it the next computing paradigm. Just as operating systems once unified hardware, AI agents are now beginning to unify digital actions. They can move across platforms, seamlessly orchestrate complex workflows, integrate tools that were never designed to work together. In essence, they act as a universal operator of software. And when this becomes widespread, you may no longer think in terms of apps at all. You will simply think in terms of outcomes. And the system will handle the rest. This is why OpenClaw is not just another tool. It is a glimpse into what computing itself is becoming. Section 5, Power comes with risk, critical awareness, extended 300 words. Dear Seeker, as we move deeper into this landscape of autonomy, it becomes essential that we do not look only at capability, but also at consequence. For every increase in power, there is an equal need for awareness. OpenClaw, in its autonomous form, is not limited to observation or suggestion. It operates with real access to systems, data, and actions that carry tangible outcomes. It can read and modify files. It can send communications. It can execute commands across connected tools. And this is where the nature of risk begins to shift. Because the question is no longer, can the AI generate the wrong answer? It becomes, can the AI take the wrong action? Even a small misinterpretation of intent can lead to sending incorrect or sensitive information, modifying or deleting important data, executing unintended commands, triggering workflows that have real-world consequences. Beyond errors, there are also external threats. Autonomous agents can be vulnerable to prompt injection attacks, malicious instructions hidden within data, unauthorized access if permissions are not carefully controlled. In such cases, the system may follow instructions that appear valid, but are designed to manipulate its behavior. This introduces a new category of security challenge, not just protecting systems from humans, but protecting systems from misguided or compromised intelligence. There is also a deeper, more subtle concern. As autonomy increases, human oversight often decreases. And with less visibility into each step, it becomes harder to detect when something is going wrong until the outcome is already visible. So we must approach this technology with balance. Not fear, but not blind trust either. To use systems like OpenClaw responsibly is to combine capability with control and innovation with vigilance. Because true progress is not defined by what we can build, but by how wisely we choose to use it. Section 6, The Future, where this is leading extended 300 words. Dear Seeker, having explored what OpenClaw is, what it has become, and the risks it carries, we now turn toward the horizon. Not to predict with certainty, but to understand the direction in which we are moving. What we are witnessing is not a temporary trend. It is the early formation of a new layer in our technological world. Autonomous intelligence systems that operate alongside us. In the near future, it is likely that each individual may have access to a personal AI agent, one that understands their preferences, adapts to their routines, and continuously works in the background to manage tasks, decisions, and workflows. But this evolution does not stop at individuals. Organizations may deploy entire networks of agents, systems that collaborate with one another, delegate tasks internally, and optimize operations without constant human supervision. This leads to the emergence of multi-agent ecosystems, where intelligence is distributed, coordinated, and constantly evolving. At that point, the role of the human begins to shift. You may no longer be the executor of tasks, but the director of intent. You define the goal. The system defines the process. And as these systems become more capable, they may begin to anticipate needs before they are expressed, suggest actions based on patterns and context, continuously refine outcomes with minimal intervention. But alongside this possibility comes a deeper question, one that is not technical, but philosophical. Where should we draw the boundary? How much decision-making should be delegated? What level of control must remain human? And how do we ensure alignment between human values and machine actions? These are not questions for the distant future. They are questions for now. Because the systems we design today will shape the world we live in tomorrow. And in that world, the greatest advantage will not belong to those who simply adopt AI, but to those who understand its direction, guide its behavior, and remain consciously involved in its evolution. Dear Seeker, as we arrive at the end of this exploration, it is worth pausing, not to conclude, but to reflect. What we have discussed today is not merely a new tool or even a new category of software. It is the beginning of a shift in how humans relate to technology itself. For generations, we have been the ones in control, clicking, typing, deciding every step. Now, for the first time, we are creating systems that can carry forward our intentions independently. And that changes the equation. OpenClaw and systems like it offer something extraordinary: the ability to extend our capabilities beyond time, beyond attention, and beyond individual effort. But as capability expands, so must clarity. Because in a world where machines can act, decide, and adapt, the role of the human is no longer just to use technology. It is to guide it with awareness. The question is no longer, how powerful is this system? The deeper question becomes, how consciously are we choosing to use it? If you take anything from this journey, let it be this: do not rush to adopt blindly. Do not resist out of fear. Instead, understand. Observe how these systems work. Learn their strengths and recognize their limits. And most importantly, remain present in the decisions you delegate. Because the future will not be shaped by AI alone. It will be shaped by the partnership between human intention and machine execution. If this exploration has brought you clarity, consider continuing this journey further. Stay curious, stay aware, and above all, stay in control of what you create. Until we meet again.